I'm a convert. I'm that guy that now has JPEG switched on across all of his cameras. However, notice that I said I switched on JPEG. I didn't say that I switched off RAW. And I think that's really important because I do think that that alone is one of the big misconceptions about people shooting JPEGs. There's this assumption that that must mean they've switched off RAW. That isn't the case. What I'm saying is I now shoot RAW and JPEG and I get an awful lot of value out of them JPEGs. We all know the big advantages of shooting RAW, that you capture all of that detail. But what then are the benefits of shooting JPEG? What are the benefits of shooting JPEG? I think we might actually live in a world now where some of the benefits have been forgotten. So let's see, can I, during this video, convince you to go into your camera settings and switch JPEGs back on? Let's find out exactly why then I'm using JPEGs and even using them in a professional capacity as well. First up then is the fact that I think if you dial in a few settings, your JPEGs can end up looking really good. Up on the screen now are some JPEGs that I shot during my trip to Venice. And for me personally, I do think that some of these are maybe print-worthy, and I'm definitely more than happy to share them on socials and on YouTube as well. And that pre-work and dialing in your settings is definitely why Fujifilm stands out as a brand when it comes to shooting JPEGs. And that's just the fact that there is a really good resource online and a really good community of people sharing their settings, which makes it, from a Fujifilm perspective, very much plug and play. But pretty much all camera brands do offer various different settings. It just means that you might have to do the legwork yourself. Now, some of these settings out there are actually trying to emulate different film stocks. Whether you think they do or not is entirely up to you. Personally, I'm not convinced. I don't think they look like film stocks, but importantly, I do think they look very good. And then next up is the fact, do you even enjoy editing? Is editing just getting in the way of your enjoyment of photography? Now, when I got back from my trip from Venice recently, I loved the fact I had my RAW files because it meant I could sit and finesse the fine details of them. It was a trip that I was really looking forward to getting back and sitting down in front of my computer. So in that case, shooting JPEG, did it provide much value? Probably not. But I think there's kind of two little subsets of photography, and I think we interchange between them, but some people definitely sit firmly in either bucket. Now, one bucket is the people that are out there trying to create art. I'm going to call it art, but that's my Venice example. I went out to try and create some print-worthy photos, and I didn't mind sitting down and editing and finessing them. But another subset of photography for me, and if I wasn't doing YouTube, it'd probably be my main category of photography, that would be documenting my life. Now, when it comes to documentary photography, I don't want to sit and edit all of my images. A really good example of this would be a recent pub trip I did with my friends and family. But in them cases, because I've got these JPEG settings dialed in, I actually got some pretty nice looking photos, whereas the RAW photos, they just look flat because I guess that is what a RAW file is. So next up then, how on earth has messing around with some JPEG settings helped me professionally? The main thing is I've gone and created my own set of JPEG settings, and them JPEG settings now replicate my look. It's not perfect, but it definitely takes my standard JPEGs and gets them an awful lot closer to the final product. Now, this has helped me, one, when I'm looking through the viewfinder now, I see my settings on that live view. I know what the image is going to look like when it gets into post-production. Now, that's helped me personally when it comes to visualizing things, but importantly, it's also helped when I've done some fitness brand shoots, when I show the model that they get to see the kind of edited version on the LCD. They don't just see the plain boring standard JPEG, they see it with a little bit of finessing too. And I think that helps me feel a little bit more comfortable, that I'm not just showing them like the boring photos, and I think it also helps them visualize it too. So messing around with JPEGs has helped me professionally. Seems ridiculous, but it has. And the best thing here is, even if you don't want to shoot JPEGs, you can turn JPEG off. And as long as you've got these settings on there, you'll still see them, even if they don't come through to the RAW file at the end. And then next up is the fact that you can still edit JPEGs. If you don't shoot RAW and you do shoot JPEG only, don't think that because you didn't shoot RAW, you can't edit your image. They're not going to have the same flexibility as a RAW file, that's just a given, but you can do some pretty dramatic edits still. More subtle edits are going to be the ones that look better because you don't have that same level of flexibility, but some examples on the screen now of me doing some pretty dramatic edits. If you do find yourself accidentally shooting JPEG only one day, or you accidentally import a JPEG into Lightroom, have a little bit of a play around. You might be surprised at just how good JPEGs have got. The other thing as well that is really good about shooting JPEGs is I can quickly share to socials, especially things like Instagram, without having to do any editing at all. Whilst I was in Venice, I wanted to share and keep you guys up to date on Instagram, but I don't have the time to edit as I'm going. A quick send of a file to my phone, uploading it, and we're done. And finally, the most important one for me, shooting JPEGs is a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun finessing these settings and trying to get the best out of them, making my own style, sharing them online, seeing what they do. because it's fun. In the same way that editing can be fun for a lot of people, messing around with these JPEG settings has been a surprising amount of fun for me. And at the end of the day, if I mess it up, it doesn't matter because I still have all of those RAW files. I'm not switching RAW off, I'm just turning JPEG on. So did I convince you to switch JPEGs on or not? Let me know down in the comments if you haven't. I'd be interested to know why. And if you have, and I have got you over the line, I'd also be interested to know why as well. If you're wondering just how close JPEGs can look to film, then here's a video for you here. And if you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers.